In this video, I'm going to talk about your preparation for the robot project. So you will need the shirts to, copy the patterns. So there are 6 components that you should have, okay? So either it could be a color, and then cuffs, and yoke, and then in this shirts, we don't have a pocket, but if you do have a pocket, you may not need to have a yoke, okay? And then front piece, back piece, and sleeve. So as you see, this shirt has 6 components: front, back, and the yoke, and then collar and bands, and cuffs. So again, if you do not have a yoke, you may need a pocket to meet the requirement of the 6 pieces that you need. Also, when you pick your shirts, you will need some sort of dart. Either it's an open dart, like this, or on your sleeve, the folded dart, like this, or fisheye darts on your back. So you should have some sort of dart so you can practice how to tracing darted pieces. So that's going to be the 6 requirements for your robot project. Then you will need to make sure you press really well your shirts so you can trace accurate patterns. And also you will need some guidelines. So that's going to be the thing that I'm going to talk about. So before I talk about how to trace those lines, I wanted to show you the supplies that you will need. So you will need colored yarn, colored thread with a needle, and then you will need tracing wheel, and then you will need some crayons or color pencils, and you will need pencils and eraser and rulers. So these are the supplies that you will need. And also you will need to have a push pins. So it's actually better to work on the tables on the studio, our sewing mat, because you can use push pins to make your shirts stable. Okay, so usually if you can see the pieces but without folding any parts, you don't need to mark anything, okay? So for example, like color piece here, I actually marked here for the middle piece, so I can only copy one side and then mirror to the other side. But if you want to trace without folding it, you don't need to mark anything for this one. And then shirts. Front piece here. Because you can actually trace without folding any parts, right? Like that. Then you don't need to mark. Okay? You don't need to mark. But when you trace sleeve like this, you cannot really trace the whole sleeve without folding, the piece. So if this is the case, you need the guideline like this one. So that I'm going to show you in a little bit. Okay. So I have some guideline for the sleeve piece. And then I need the guideline for the back piece. Of course, for the back piece, you can trace without folding it, right? But to make accurate, we will put the guideline in the middle, and then we will trace only one side, and then we'll mirror to the left side. So that's going to be overall preparation. Okay. So this one has already guideline here. So I'm going to show you how to make your guideline on this side of sleeve. So when you press your shirts, you will need to make sure that you press on the seam, okay? So if your shirt is folded like this, then you will really need to make sure you press on the sewing seam line over here like that, okay? Then with the iron, you need to press to make flatten all the way up here, okay? So once you have a press line on here, that's where you will put your guideline with a thread, okay? So actually I'm using double thread to make a better visibility, and then actually it stays better with double thread. So with this folding line, following this folding line, I will put this guideline. And this is actually really important to have this guideline before you tracing your patterns. Okay, so it could be maybe half-inch seam, half-inch stitch to make your guideline. Okay, so you may do this all the way up until the shoulder line. So to make your guideline like this. And then to prepare your bag, center bag guideline, I will make sure those seams are matching. Okay, so if you look at inside of the shirt, you will see this seam, right? So you will need to make sure those seams are matching. And then fold all the way up. Okay, so you might use your pins to match those seams. Like this. And then bring to the iron and then press really well like this. And then with the colored thread, you will need to mark this center line. Okay, so as you see from here, I will only trace one side of the yoke and then one side of the back piece, and then I will show you how you use this guideline to tracing all in one kind of sleeve. As you see, this sleeve is not two pieces, but this is one pieces. Okay, so that's going to be I'm showing you in the next video.